So I'm pleased to have Stephen Salz here with me from Rivalry, co-founder and CEO. And today we're going to talk you through Gen Z and how you get them through the door, how we market to them, the differences between other generations in terms of sports betting, casino betting, other forms of online gambling. And just before we do kick off, there's a quick video that's going to be played now, and then we'll get started.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stick to the BEAT, get ready to ignite. You were such a frequency, catching all the lights. Just easy as ABC, that's how we make it right. The DANC, stick to the BEAT. Just easy as ABC, do the dance. The way you move it's a mystery.
What do you think about that shit, son?
Yep.
I liked it. So in the lead up to prepping for this panel, I was actually, by coincidence, I was watching a TV show last weekend, and the opening gambit from the host of this show said that twice as many under 25-year-olds get their news from TikTok and other social media sources than they do from traditional media and traditional news. Gen Z consume almost 50% of their content from creators, online creators, YouTube creators, Instagram, all the other platforms. So in an age of social media dominance, how does a brand, specifically within our industry, attract this next generation of player, of entertainment fan?
Yeah, and thanks for having me, everyone. Yeah, so I think the usual answer to that question is authenticity, but I think authenticity is used too much, and it's also, that's like the result of doing it well. Like the KPI is authenticity, is that you're perceived to be authentic. The actual answer is you need to be seen as like an organic builder and contributor of the community in which you're specifically going after within Gen Z. So it's not enough to just be, bring on an influencer the way you would sign a celebrity. So typical gambling ads would be celebrity X for brand Y, giving some brand proposition, telling you to have skin in the game or whatever it may be, and then you never see them again. Among Gen Z, what we find is you need to enter the community through the creator. So the creator is really critical in the way that you mentioned it, because the creator is almost like the alpha of the community. So if you build a relationship with the creator, you get to know them really well, how they provide value to their community, and then you become a member and a builder of that specific community. Then you start to get perceived as authentic, and then you are, again, an organic contributor to it. And then that's how it goes from, hey, this is just someone we like doing an ad read, to, hey, no, this is a brand that is in our ecosystem, seems to really understand us, is working with our favorite creator, bringing value to our fan base and our specific community, and then doing that consistently over time. And then that's how you can engage and entertain Gen Z. Because I think the problem is often what we see, even with, let's say, more mature brands that try to come into the space to engage Gen Z, is they will sign the creator. They work with them, though, similar to how they work with a celebrity, again, in a really typical context. It's kind of a one-and-done thing. They'll sign some agency that brings on some creator, and they'll do a singular moment, whereas that's a really way to be perceived as inauthentic by a Gen Z community. And the way it is, you need to have almost a shared narrative and a shared lore with that community. Like, you have to become part of their reality. So an example that I can give for Rivalry is a creator called Launders, which is a Counter-Strike, which is a top 3 esport. He's a Counter-Strike shoutcaster, which is just a person that narrates professional matches. He's in the regulated market of Ontario, where we operate. He is from Toronto, from Ontario. We've worked with him. He is a big member in his community in Counter-Strike, and he's obviously kind of, again, like the alpha of that community for Toronto and Canadian Counter-Strike. We built a relationship with him. One of the things that's really important to him and his community is grassroots events and supporting the Counter-Strike community within Toronto, within Ontario. So we got to know him. We were contributing to that community, where we were hosting watch parties, funding them, standing behind them, all that kind of stuff. And then we created these events called Launders LAN. So LAN is a in-person esports event where just everyone's together versus online. We put all of our creative resources and horsepower behind it. We make it something really engaging and entertaining for the community. We're adding a huge amount of value for them. This is all a thing we do over months and over a year. So we're like appearing again and again and again, adding value, putting on a $10,000 prize pool event, making it really exciting and engaging, doing it in a super authentic way, and just doing that constantly. And it goes from, again, being a one and done thing where Gen Z is just happy. They'll be happy their favorite creator like got the bag and made some money from a brand, but they don't care about the brand. To now, no, like we now represent something real and authentic to them, that we've delivered something meaningful to them. And then the brand has a certain like emotional link and like a mode of resonance in their head whenever they see us. And then when we start to speak to them more, introduce our mobile app and try to actually acquire them and do the thing we need for the business, it's not, it doesn't feel like they're being sold something. It feels like someone that they've gotten to know that's part of their community over the last months or year is now speaking to them in a very real way, and then it translates into successful acquisition and success with this demographic.
That word community comes up a lot. In fact, Brian Christopher was in here earlier on a panel, and he used it quite frequently in in what he was saying. And I think community, the way the communities work, and the way he explained it as well, is we see TV advertising with XYZ celebrity.
Yep.
But there's no interaction between the community and that celebrity. They see him in a movie, they see him on a TV show, they see a sports star playing week in, week out. But actually, when you start interacting with an influencer or that whole sense of community, you instantly start building some more loyalty there, don't you? So there are people who follow those content creators will follow them. If he says play here, then they will go and play there. But then equally, just to ask your opinion, if that creator then goes against a brand, very quickly the community will follow as well, right? The negative side can be impactful.
Yeah, there's definitely risk. I think to unpack even the thing before, because I think it's important, is use like Jamie Foxx as an example or whoever. When they appear in an ad, the challenge, I think for a different generation that works because they're used to celebrity endorsement of things in a classic, almost Mad Men style way. What we find though is like there's no continuity and thread that's woven through the entire experience. So you first interact with that celebrity in some ad. With most advertising we see, like you don't experience that person ever again in the experience. So the first touch that a brand gives you is the ad that you see, and then that's it. Whereas among Gen Z, and the way that we found you have to be successful is they will see their first interaction with Rivalry will come through the creator. That will be a thing that's exciting and entertaining for them, and then they'll come to Rivalry. They get that experience continued on the website. So we'll actually continue kind of the narrative we've created with the creator on the website, even the way our customer support speaks to them. And then the CRM that they get from us, so the messaging and retention stuff they get from us, it's all like continuity from that experience. And then it's looping around and around. So then the creator, again, is engaging in something else with us and then repeating it. But that does then create more risk where, yes, like if that chain is broken because they get mad at us or they leave, yet you do create a little bit more risk associated with it, for sure. There's ways to hedge it out where if you're adding enough value to the community and then you've onboarded people into your product experience and they genuinely like it, then you're fine. Some will go, but many will stay, we found, to be honest. But yeah, there is some intrinsic risk with that depth of a connection, for sure.
And they spend their lives online, right? So they're the first generation that have pretty much been born with a tablet in their hands. They're tech savvy, right? They're the most tech savvy generation that we're trying to attract into our businesses. And they're also averse to advertising. So some stats here. So Adweek published that 99% of Gen Z will hit skip on a YouTube video or on an ad. 63% of them use ad blockers within their browser. So what new methods can brands implement to try and track these consumers? And do you guys do something very different in terms in the way that you try and bring new players in through the door?
Yeah, we kind of call it like the ad block generation because that's definitely part of it, which is why, so for Rivalry, for example, less than 1% of our acquisition comes from traditional affiliates, and we basically do no paid media because they don't see it and it doesn't hit them, and then a traditional affiliate isn't getting in front of that demographic. They live in a completely different universe on the internet, basically. So the way that we do it is we wrap everything with original content that we produce. So we'll do original content on, with the creator, often on the social media property, not necessarily on a YouTube channel or something like that. We will create events, like in-person and online events, specific to the community that we're targeting. We'll obviously engage the influencer with classic, social media pushes and still fairly vanilla things in order to acquire customers. We'll engage them on live streams, so we'll do live stream related activations specific to the creator and specific to the sport or the esport that they're interested in. We have 25 plus social media properties that also connects everything. So that's almost like all of our acquisition is all these like original kind of owned channels paired with the influencer. I think it's the only way to get in front of them. It goes to the first comment, which was, if you're not in the community in a legitimate and authentic way, then they're not going to see you at all.
Yep.
And they're just going to be completely blind to it. Sometimes they just literally don't see it because of ad block. So yeah, you have to be in front of them where they live, not in like you have to be in front of them where they live, basically. So yeah, it has to be these social channels where they're spending most of their time. Which
are the channels you're finding most successful at the moment?
Probably Twitter and then Twitch streams where
Twitter, my 17-year-old says Twitter's for the old guys like me.
Yeah. TikTok is tough because it's tough to do gambling-related things on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'd say there's still no. We find that even in Facebook and certain geographies, it's still the most popular among under 30s, which surprises me because I haven't used Facebook in like a decade. but it is really popular. And then also like specific communities. So yeah, it's a lot of work. I think that's the difference with it, where it is very hard to stay engaged with that demographic and continue to entertain them because we have to hit them from every single angle. I think that's the way it works. So again, you'll sign an influencer where, let's say we work with a very large League of Legends creator, which League of Legends is the biggest esport. They'll be talking about this on social, live stream, etc. So customers are interacting with them there. Then they'll follow our socials, so we're interacting with them on our socials. Then we'll do activations on the live stream of that creator where they're then watching them, so we'll do activations there. Then we have specific communities that we run and manage. So we'll bring all of them into like a Discord or a Facebook or a specific or a WhatsApp community.
You actually keep the players in,
so we keep them in our community
via Discord, which you control.
Yeah, so within our community. And then once they're on the website, they're then getting hit. They're like cohorted where they're being hit specific to the community that they're from and the game that they care about on the website. So you have to hit them at like every single point, and like that's where they exist. Whereas yeah, if you put a static banner ad through some affiliate network, they'd like they're just not on those websites, and B, like they literally won't even see it. So it just doesn't work.
So that level of kind of continued authentic, to use the word, engagement with the player once you've actually acquired them in, does that then say that the majority of your Gen Z players that are coming through the door are more loyal to your brand? We've had a number of people speak today about marketing and retention and keeping players involved, and how your traditional sports bettor is quite fickle. They'll go to whichever app on their phone has the best odds for the game that they want to play, who's got the best odds on the money line this evening, stuff like that. They'll have 4 or 5 different sports betting apps on their device, and they'll go to the one that they're going to get the best deal from. So within the Gen Z space, then, if we're already seeing how much of a different style of player they are, is their loyalty higher? Do they stay with the brand, or are they just as fickle as your standard sports bettor? Yeah, we find like it's hard because not many companies we find give their retention rates publicly. We do find from what's available that our retention is quite good. There is for sure a cohort or a small percentage that will always look for the best offer, best bonus, all that kind of stuff. But we definitely, like, the premise of the company was that we thought by creating like a deep emotive link and a connection with the community, combined with a product that we've built originally that could resonate with that specific customer, we thought we could win on the retention game. Because if you're a new company in the space and you're trying to compete on best offer and best bonuses, it's just capital cannons firing at one another, and I think it's a race to the bottom, and we would never win that. It would just kill the company. So yeah, we had to compete in a way where there was the reason to use Rivalry was not because of the offer that we're providing you, but because we've created a deep connection between ourselves and the user through brand, and obviously definitely through product. Because I think there are some brands previously in the space that have tried to win on media excellence alone, I guess you could say. Yeah.
But then it's like they're kind of selling a Ferrari, and then you get to the website and it's like a Toyota Corolla. So the things need to feel consistent as well. So like even though we're very top heavy on like creative marketing and brand, we still are obsessive about winning product specific to the customer and the way that we like deliver the product.
Awesome.
And everything connecting. Sorry, yeah, I would add like so we've built original casino games because we find a 25-year-old casino player isn't as excited in like Egyptian-themed slots machines as their parents maybe were. So we've built original casino games.
Wolf Run isn't their favorite?
Yeah. So we've built casino games where we tie the narratives. So a lot of what we've done, you saw in the video at the beginning, is like these crazy weird characters we've created because definitely again among Gen Z, it's not, a logo isn't exciting or doesn't represent things in the way that it does, I think, for other generations. So we've created almost like a Marvel universe of characters at Rivalry, like this goat guy. It's called like the Goat Academy, like greatest of all time, but it's like demonic goats. So in certain markets, Rivalry is not known as a company run by human beings, but by a cult of demonic goats that you sign blood pacts with when you join the company. It's actually worked very well.
It's gamification, right? It's gamification on an nth scale.
So basically, like that was a character that worked really well. That's how the company's known. And back to the connection is we signed the partners by them signing a blood pact with Rivalry, and that's the way the creative looks. And then when you sign up from Rivalry, we try to continue the experience. So when you talk to support, it's like welcome to the goat cult, and it's like everything is like continued. And then with the original casino games we've built, when you lose, that goat character, like a thing pops up and it's the goat character giving you the middle finger, basically telling you, you suck. So even like into the original product IP, everything is like injected at every step of the journey. And that's like the juxtaposition from the beginning, where if you just think you can work with some agency, sign a celebrity that has no connection to your brand and no continuity from like just the ad onward, it's just never, there's no link. So there's no journey for the user to take anywhere.
And you can build that kind of experience into, say, a loyalty program, VIP program, which again then solidifies the fact that these players want to come back and keep on playing where they're playing.
Yeah, that's right. And then having like a meta layer on top of Rivalry, or on top of the product, whatever it is, where it's both some narrative layer you've created with the people the community that you're in, and then also like a meta game in the product itself that connects to whatever narrative you've been telling the market.
Awesome. I'm conscious that we've got a few minutes left, but this was a subject that when I saw it was going to be discussed on, I put my name forward to come and moderate this with you, because I find it really interesting. It's something that I'm definitely learning a lot from. But for that reason, I'm sure there's other people in the audience who have probably got some more questions, other than the ones that I've put forward. So with 4 minutes to go, I'd like to open up to the audience for any questions to Stephen whilst he's here. If not, there we go. There's one here.
Yeah, and even based on the game. So yeah, we have, depending on the platform, different things algorithmically work better, for sure. But also it's like per country, per title. So that's also something that's a little different, is a singular ad that just represents the brand that goes on TV and is just like a general umbrella representation of what you're trying to do also doesn't work. So yeah, we have per country, for us mostly esports, because we use esports as a top of funnel to a demographic of customer. Everything is distinguished, yeah. So it'll be like per country, per game, per platform, and it's like done uniquely each way. Yeah, I think that's like part of the challenge potentially as well. Is it is, I wouldn't say resource intensive. It's just it is nuanced, because you can't do these catch-all targeting with the demographic. I think that's what's been difficult about it. So yeah, people will come in and they'll do some like big singular brand moment, and they don't get the results they want with the demographic, and they like chalk it up as a loss. And that's the same thing with esports, where we've kind of been known a little bit as an esports brand, which is a bit of a misnomer maybe. Like 50 to 60% of our total wagers is casino, and then like 20 to 30% is esports, and the difference is traditional sports. So also we've tapped into internet culture and meme culture as a top of funnel to a demographic of customer, and which happens to be led by gaming and esports, just because it is the largest is gaming, and then esports being a subset in that. So I think that's also something as well, is just as general advice, is like I think people look at the space in a very like narrow, singular way, and it's more thinking about what are the profiles of content and narratives we can leverage that are popular in internet culture to then use as a top of funnel to a demographic of customer that will come on our product and play casino, bet on sports, and do gaming-related things. But that then opens up the kind of aperture where the TAM of that approach is not just, people that are interested in video games on the internet that maybe bet on video games. It's, no, the TAM of that is all people under the age of 30, that is the way that they're engaging with content on the internet, and what is the TAM of all people under the age of 30 in a gambling product as a whole, across the entire product suite, which is massive. That's different than, just some narrow.
Yeah, I remember a stat is coming to me. The final of Dota a few years back was watched by infinitely more people than watched the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that's the generation that were watching Dota 3 or 4 years ago are now 18 to 25, and they're now looking, I can bet on Dota or whatever the next game is coming out.
And many Dota bettors are like casino bettors. Like we've used some esports where we find we get a lot of casino players from it. So again, like
you see that crossover as well.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, so again, like that's been, I think, the industry mistake, is like esports, let's say, has been chalked up as a thing that potentially doesn't work. But I think the issue has been is esports as the end all be all, not esports as just a great very functional top of funnel to a demographic of better. That then works. Yeah, but if you're going at it as like, let's just do esports, then you might struggle or find the value proposition's not there.
We've got 45 seconds left, and somebody here would like to ask a quick question.
Quick question on, do you see any other brands that maybe it's in iGaming or not, or in sports betting, but do you find that there are any other brands that have mastered like targeting like people in this demographic, like like using different platforms on the internet and follow through on community engagement very well beyond just the initial ad?
Yeah, I mean, ones we like is Liquid Death, which is like the death metal water. It's like canned water. That's a good one. Cash App versus like Venmo. Like Cash App kind of hijacked YouTube hip hop culture basically to then win in cash remittance, which was like strange. Robinhood did a good job in investing for sure, similar, where they understood that a younger demographic sees investing more as like a meta game than anything else, and then they rode the whole wave of like meme stocks that acquired a bunch of people. So yeah, those ones have worked really well.
And that is all we have time for. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining me this afternoon.